So hi everyone, for those that don't know me, I'm Pip, I'm an HR people person and I support small and medium businesses to solve their people problems, increase employee engagement and retention and generally put the pizzazz into your people plans. So this is the next in my series of chats with people that I collaborate with across a whole variety of subjects. And on that note, if there are subjects that you'd like to see covered, any particular topics, then do let me know. Either drop something in the comments or send me a message if you'd like to see something specific. I've got some more planned, but happy to take suggestions. Today's subject is people development, and I'm really pleased to say that today I'm joined by Liz Goddard, who is an executive coach. So Liz, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
As you said, I'm an executive coach. My company name is Liz Goddard Coaching. It's as simple as that. And I've coached for quite a few years now, but following a background in learning and organisational development. So people development is my thing, but coaching is what I do now. As you said, I'm an executive coach and I work with senior leaders predominantly because of my background, helping them to identify and achieve their goals, essentially.
Okay.
Most people want to make a change at some stage in their personal working life, and that's what coaching is designed to help them do.
Great. And for people who've never experienced coaching, because I'm aware the audience is a real variety of people, if you've not experienced coaching before, what does the coaching experience look and feel like?
I think one of the most important things for me, having been a coachee myself many times, is it's a confidential space. It's very confidential. I signed up to a code of ethics and it is strictly confidential unless somebody's going to harm themselves, but it is strictly confidential and I really adhere to that. I think that's important because people need to feel like they're in a safe space. And that even applies when the company's paying, because often, you know, coach is sponsored by the company, and although they have the company objectives underpinning the coaching, actually it is still confidential.
Yeah. And in terms of what it looks like, because I mean, I guess there's these images of like, you know, do you have to go and lie on a chaise longue and will you be sat there with a clipboard taking notes? Like, what does it actually, what happens if the first time you turn up to coaching, what would you do in terms of, you know, setting the scene, I guess?
Well, I would never go straight into coaching. I would always have a pre-meeting with people, because the most important thing, well, one of the most important things is that, is coaching the right solution for you? Because there are other solutions that might be more appropriate. Yeah. And am I the right coach for you? Because rapport is absolutely essential, because you aren't going to let your guard down. You're going to talk about all kinds of things, which is why I mentioned the confidential. So essentially, one-to-one coaching, because there are other types of coaching, but essentially one-to-one coaching is about the coach listening, observing, challenging and questioning. Lots of questions. And I would say that the client, the coachee, does more of the talking. That's kind of how you want it to work, with them doing more of the talking. Okay. I like to use models and theories, but they don't work for everybody. So I tend to check in with my clients every time and say, is this the right amount of challenge? Yeah. Is it, you know, is this approach right for you, and adapt it accordingly? Yeah. But
it sounds quite similar to the coaching experience I had. It was definitely getting that rapport going, and then the coach kind of understanding what would help me with my sort of thought process, I think, and how I was approaching the issues that I was bringing. She would kind of say, okay, do you know this model? And there's still models that I kind of use today because they were really, really helpful. But I know it is slightly different for everybody. So, okay. And in a business setting then, because obviously you said largely you're sort of dealing with corporate exec type people, how can it help in a business setting? What kind of situations is it useful for? You mentioned change earlier.
Yeah, well, I think it predominantly changes what it's all about, and that change could look like things like I want to improve my confidence. Yep. You know, leader, I want to gain more confidence, or actually I've been a leader for a while, but I'm really lacking confidence. It could be work-life balance. It could be accelerating a career. It could be looking for a new career. You maybe stepped up into a new role. You've just gone into a new role and you want to on board, essentially get started, inducted. Yeah. It could be that you're coming up for retirement. So there are lots of different scenarios. I mean, the possibilities really are endless.
Do you find it's generally where people sort of have a question? I know, you know, for me, when I had the coaching, it was I'd stepped up into a more senior role and I was a bit sort of, I don't know what I'm meant to be now, you know, I'm in a more strategic role and I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be as a person. And I just was questioning myself, and actually coaching really helped that journey. It helped me to understand that move because it was quite a different move. So is it normally when someone's sort of going, I want to improve this, but I don't know how, or
they want to get to a different, it could be that, but they want to get to a different place.
Yeah.
I want to be a better leader, or I actually want to understand what a leader looks like. What's the difference between leadership and management? Or I've got a vision for my company that I'm really trying to achieve. So it's getting to a place in the future that's better than where they are, essentially.
So you've identified a gap or a need. I think I need to work on my leadership style or skills. Maybe some coaching is the right solution, or maybe somebody in the business might see that you're struggling and maybe I know from an HR perspective, sometimes what I've done is almost suggest and say, in this situation, coaching might be, it's not for everybody, but it might be useful for you if you're willing to kind of explore that with somebody. And I'm not a trained coach almost on purpose, as we talked about, because I like keeping it quite separate, so that people can feel like it is separate and confidential from the business almost. That's their time to develop themselves and explore that. Okay, I mean, I guess what I see it is that kind of, there's some sort of change in your life is often what prompts it. So it might be a promotion, might be a bit of struggling with imposter syndrome, that kind of stuff. Could be life changes. Let's say you've had a relationship split up and that's made you question where you want to be and what you want to be doing. It's often those things that make people do a bit of like, what does it all mean? Where am I going? I'm sort of losing direction a little bit here. And that's often where, from an HR perspective, they'll be talking to us about those issues, and we might then say, actually, coaching might be a really good solution for you here. Okay. And what are the benefits of the coaching sessions that you run, both for I suppose I'm thinking for the business, but also for the individual?
Well, I think fair to say, in my experience, coaching is one of the most cost-effective development solutions that you can choose. And the reason I say that, because obviously coaching sessions cost, they do cost money. But the reason I say cost-effective is because if you go on a workshop, I mean, sometimes that's exactly the right solution. But if you go on a workshop, it's a full day or it's 2 days. When you do coaching, you've got 60 minutes, 90 minutes session, and that is entirely focused on what you need and where you need to go. So it does make it much more cost effective in terms of the time out of the business.
Yeah.
The other things are that it's very much about, let me think about this for a second. It always improves performance. It improves motivation. It improves performance. It improves engagement. And as you know, if you improve engagement in the business, that's great for the individual because they're more motivated. But from the business's perspective, the employer's perspective, the benefits of engagement, increased engagement, are huge. I mean, things like reduced turnover, as I said, improved performance,
happiness.
Oh,
not forget happiness. We all love that one.
And less staff issues, because that's a huge one. Less staff. Relationships, and I'm not talking about relationship counselling. I'm talking about relationships at work. Although it's fair to say that, although I executive coach, life comes into it. Yeah. They're not things.
No, they're not.
But relationships come into coaching a lot. And managing relationships at work and making them more productive and effective.
Yeah. And I think what I liked about coaching was that because it was my session, it was almost like the solutions, although they were kind of generic models being given to me, it wasn't just for me, but it was individualized. The solution that was given to me was for the situation that I was bringing. I'm struggling with this, whatever it was. Let's say it's a relationship issue at work or something. I'm struggling to kind of liaise with this manager, can't communicate with them. We'd talk about that. I'd be given a model, and it was almost like, right, what are you going to go away and do? And we'd sort of agree an action. It's also someone to hold you accountable, which I think is really important, because let's be honest, sometimes we don't want to do the stuff that's difficult and we might shy away from it. But having somebody there that you're going to go back to for the next session, and you're going to have to report back what you did or didn't do, or how it went and how you found it. I found it really useful because, naturally for me, although my job involves quite a bit of conflict on a personal level, I find conflict quite difficult. And having a framework of how to deal with that, and also having someone to come back and say, I did it, here's how it went. I actually used the stuff that we talked about because I remembered it when I was in there, and I was sort of prepared and ready to have the conversation, was just really helpful. It was a safe space, but also a space where I felt there was progress. I could see that the issues I came with initially over time gradually faded away because I was actually dealing with them with the coach's help. And that was really powerful for me. So the solution felt like it was mine, even though it was, you know, relatively generic in terms of the models. Okay. And in terms of the kind of services that you offer, so you talked a lot there about one-on-one. Do you offer anything around team activities? Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Not so much at the moment. I mean, I have coached teams, but I'm not doing that at the moment. But I certainly know a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
So if I mean, as I said, I always suggest a pre-coaching meeting, because sometimes I'm not the right coach for a person, but I know I've got a huge network and I know a lot of coaches because I used to buy coaching in. So if I'm the right person, I always know somebody that is. And I will, at the end of the day, being the right coach is just as important for me as it is for my client. You want it to be, you want it to work. So it needs to be the right connection, the right rapport.
No, I agree. And I think there's a lot of coaches out there who specialize in different things, you know, or focus on different things. So it's also making sure that you're the right person in terms of what they want to achieve, I guess, not just the right personality. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So where can people find you then?
I am on LinkedIn, as obviously. I have a Facebook business page, and I have a website, lizgoddardcoaching.co.uk. Presumably we can share the actual.
Yeah, I'll tag you all in it when I post it. I'll put your tags on so people can find you nice and easily. So yeah, great. And anything else you want to kind of talk about today? Anything else you want to raise in terms of how coaching can help businesses?
One thing I wanted to mention to you, when you talked about going away and doing stuff, often you do go away and do stuff, but sometimes it's actually going away and thinking about stuff. And a lot of what happens in coaching is mindset.
Yes.
It's about your mindset. And that's why the bit I mentioned earlier on about digging deep is really important. So it isn't always going away with a huge list of tasks to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes going away and thinking differently, and that thinking differently just ends up in you being applying yourself in a completely different way, which, and I guess, more effective.
I guess that's also about how people come to you, because I'm assuming we talked about, you know, there's this life change sometimes that prompts people coming to you, but I guess also people might come to you when they're a bit stuck. So some of that mindset, some of the mindset stuff there is about helping people to become unstuck and get out of that place to be able to move forward. So I guess there's two sides, isn't it? Yes, there's an obvious thing. This is a situation that would prompt you needing some help, but actually there's this one over here where you're not moving and something needs to happen, and that's where coaching can be useful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me. I could talk to you all day, Liz, because I find it fascinating. And you have an HR background, so you get my world, and I get your world, so I could talk to you all day. It's been great to learn more about your coaching business, how you can support businesses to develop and retain their people. I think it links in very closely with a lot of the work I do with businesses around, as you said, engagement, retention, developing people for the future. I think it is a massive part of a lot of the work I do with businesses, and I often suggest coaching, and I often suggest you because you're first on my list. But as you say, there are lots of coaches out there. And in the meantime, I hope you're all having a great week, and I will see you soon, and I'm sure that Liz will see you soon if you want to go and follow her as well.
Thanks
very much.
Bye. Bye-bye.